Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. Today is October 5th. It's 6 a.m. It is super early, but I've got a lot to get into today, and just figured I'd start the day off a little early so we can get some tasks done and get our day rolling. But there's plenty of reasons why I'm up early today, but before we get into that, let's go ahead and roll the intro. Okay, so the main reason why I'm up this early is because my shift at work has changed slightly, which is fantastic. I'm really excited. I'm having to get up a half hour early, but that means I get out a half hour earlier. So yeah, between that and not having to spend 30 minutes in the car every day driving to and from work, this extra half hour is just going to give me a little bit extra time with the family, with getting work done as far as the business is concerned. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it. So yeah, so the team's been working from home since March, so it seems like there is no end sight to this. We're pretty productive from home, so from what I've gathered, we will not be going back to the office, which is fine by me because spending that hour in the car is just a killer. It really is. Giving myself this extra time with the family, not putting the mileage on my car, and then also giving me time to work on things at home like the business, housework, home improvements, things like that it's just amazing. The one thing that does kind of stink is I don't have the interaction that I had when I was at the office with my coworkers and stuff, so I do kind of miss that. But that versus spending an hour in the car every day, I'll let you make the decision. Well, that's unfortunate. One of the reasons why I woke up at 6 a.m. or got on the road at 6 a.m. was to surprise the family with Ulrich's Donuts, which, if you're not familiar, Ulrich's is this fantastic little family-owned donut shop that quite literally runs out of donuts every day because they're just so good. They're not mass-produced or anything like that. It's just a great family-owned company and trying to support them. So pulled in just after 6 o'clock, and I pulled in and lights are off, nobody's inside, so it kind of sucks. It's about 6:30 right now. I'll probably give it another 5 or so minutes and see if maybe they just got a late start or whatever. I checked their Facebook page and Google and all that stuff, and it says they're open at 6, so not sure what's going on. I know they're open for business. We've gotten donuts here recently, so it's not like the pandemic has, kept them closed. I know they had to close probably at the onset of this thing, but recently businesses have been able to reopen, things like that, with certain precautions. So I don't know. Let's give it another 5-10 minutes, and then we'll head back home and continue our day, I guess, or start our day rather. God, today is not starting out very well, is it? Alright, so needless to say, Ulrich's didn't open, so we came over to our second choice, Donut Palace. Not as good as Ulrich's in my opinion, but both places are significantly better than Bill's Donuts. So yeah, there I said it. Significantly better than Bill's Donuts. So let's go ahead and grab a dozen donuts and head back to work. So this past weekend, we were up in Minerva, Ohio, and shooting a wedding for Taylor and Josh, and it was a gorgeous day. We were up at the Great Trail Golf Course, which is, when you think of a golf course and as for used for a wedding venue, it might seem kind of like monotonous and boring and things like that, but one thing is for sure that they keep their grounds spotless. If you can find a good one, that is. This one was definitely one of the good ones because they had basically everybody was working to keep the grounds nice. The other thing that was really cool was during the ceremony they kind of sectioned off that part of the golf course, so they didn't allow golf carts and things like that, so you don't have that issue with noise and distractions and things like that, which is, they didn't have to do that, right? Because they have, you've got paying customers for your members, and then you've got a paying customer for your bride. But they didn't have to do that. But it is nice that, they know that, this hour window is for the bride and the groom, and this is their moment and things like that. So it was nice to see that they kind of section that off. So I really do appreciate that, especially from an audio standpoint, trying to maneuver around, different types of audio sources that are out of your control. Just having those completely just pushed aside and not even have to worry about them. Now all I got to focus on is, the crowd, the wind, the elements around me that I just can't control. So having one of those things knocked out that I don't have to worry about is just phenomenal. So one of the other thing that I truly do enjoy about this day was the weather was just gorgeous, and I think that's something that we can kind of take for granted sometimes, is what type of weather we have. We're always thinking oh, I really hope it doesn't rain. I really hope it doesn't rain. And then when you have these gorgeous days, really kind of enjoy the moment and enjoy the actual experience of filming with nice weather. So we had a little bit of an overcast, which is great for actual filming and photography and stuff like that, because you don't want it, you don't want it too bright. You don't want sun beating down. It wasn't real hot. We're at the beginning of October, so it's kind of one of those things where it's it could be really cold, it could be raining, it could be snowing. So yeah, so overall the day went really smooth. I was able to get the drone up in the air. I had enough time to set up my tripods and everything like that ahead of time, so that all I had to do when it was time to film the ceremony is drop the cameras right on top of the tripods. I was able to get my audio sources all squared away, which is fantastic. And I think this is probably one of the first weddings where kind of everything went off without a hitch. We've got several audio sources, so my backups worked. The main cameras all worked. Focus was great. There wasn't any any type of interruptions with people standing in front of the camera, things like that. Now I haven't got a chance to really kind of dive into all the footage just yet. So from what I can, from being there, what I remember, I don't think there was any cell phone issues where there was, I know there were cell phones out, and that you can't help that. I've kind of come to terms with the fact that people in the audience and the guests, they're gonna have their phones out. But there wasn't anybody standing in the aisle or standing, out of place. So, yes, it's a little bit of a distraction. And for me, as a perfectionist, it's I would rather you not have your cell phones out when you're in my frame. But then again, they're there to enjoy, the actual event as well. And if they want to take some pictures, that's fine. And there's nothing I can do. But at the end of the day, it went smoothly. It really did. We had about an hour in between the ceremony and the reception to get some couple shots, the portraits, and all that stuff. We were able to get some golf carts to kind of go around the grounds, which was awesome. The inside of the venue for the reception was gorgeous. It turned out to be a really nice day overall. The new piece of gear that I brought to this for this wedding is these Comica BoomX-D wireless microphones. And one of the reasons I purchased these was because I knew that there was going to be 4 speakers at the reception, right? And I've had this issue before where I can, I've got my 2 Tascam, the DR10Ls. I've got 2 of those. These are kind of digital recorders that they don't record directly to your camera. They just record to internal memory to memory cards. And, you put, mic the lapel mic on and you put this in their pocket or whatever. And then in post, you have to combine the video and the audio. And that's great. I don't mind that at all, because the audio that comes from these things, the microphones and like the different functionality of these is second to none. They are really, really good. But with that, they come with a relatively high price tag. And knowing that I was going to have 2 more speakers than I have recorders, my only option at this point was to take one of my digital recorders, like handheld, like this Zoom H1, and set it in front of the speaker, right, so that it's capturing their audio. And this works. It's okay. You really want to try to get this as close to the microphone as possible, but with it being as large as it is, trying to get that, I have a couple microphone sleeves where you can slide this into the DJ's mic, but then you have this like really bulky looking thing, and it's just not very conducive. I've got a couple smaller recorders, I think they're Olympus ones. They're a little bit smaller, probably about 2/3 this size, not quite as thick either. Those work as well. They don't offer as good as audio as the Zoom H1, so I'm kind of at a crossroads here. What do I do? And then, of course, I've got the other thing that I already have is my Tascam DR44WL. This is plugged directly into a speaker from the DJ, so I'm getting audio directly from the DJ. So this is kind of like my backup, my backup, just in case something fails with these microphones. This will be perfectly. This should be perfectly fine. The downfall of this is with the the downfall with this is with the DJ using a wireless system. If his audio cuts out for any reason, or if something happens to his audio, this is kind of attached to it. So I'm kind of at the will of the DJ. So if something happens with the DJ, it's going to affect my audio with using this. That's why these Tascams work really well, because they're not reliant on anything other than themselves. So as long as there is a free memory card, which I format every day before I go to my event, or usually the night before, and then I always make sure that there's a fresh battery in here no matter what. This is a fresh battery before the wedding. Before my next wedding, this coming weekend, I will take this one out and put a brand new one in. It seems kind of monotonous, and you might think it's wasteful, but I still use those batteries for household things. I just can't risk this dying in the middle of a speech, because that's when it's going to die, right? It's never going to die after the speech and all the clapping's over. It's like, no, it's going to cut right in the middle of the speech. So I don't take any risks whatsoever. You might call that a little bit over shooting the mark or whatever, but I say it's practical. Anyway, so to kind of alleviate this situation that I have where I've only got 2 lapel mics, and I don't want to spend another $500 on a set of DR10Ls, I started looking at wireless solutions. I'm not a really big fan of the idea of a wireless microphone, much like the DJ situation. If the DJ's mic goes out for whatever reason, then you're kind of sunk, right? If there's any type of interference or anything like that, you're just done. Like, there's just nothing you can do. You can't get that audio back. So I was kind of reluctant, and that's why I went with the Tascams originally. So this time around, I was like, well, I really don't want to spend, $500 in getting these another set of Tascams. In a perfect world, I would, right, have 4 Tascams just in case, this
this is probably the extreme of having 4 speakers at an actual event. But I wanted to go with a wireless system, and that's really for a couple different reasons. The main one was just to try it out. They're not nearly as expensive as Tascam. In fact, the receiver and the 2 transmitters were less than the cost of one of these Tascams. So a decent price. The functionality, like I said, this isn't a review or anything like that. Because I only obviously used them once. I'll put a review up after we use them a couple times. We've got 3 more weddings this month, so I'll be using them there as well. So I'll be able to give you a little bit better review and a little bit more information once I've used them more. But the other reason why I picked up a wireless microphone is for our streaming service. This is something that I haven't really kind of figured out yet, and really put some thought into as far as how the streaming service is going to work with audio. Originally, we were just going to set up a microphone and put it at the front of the venue, something like this, or like a shotgun microphone, put it on a T-stand and kind of angle it up, point it at the couple, and then drive that audio wired into the mixer. However, I got to think, I was like, well, in a ceremony, sometimes the couple aren't always in the same spot when they're speaking. Sometimes there's multiple people speaking at different locations. We did a video a while back about audio and what's a good solution for your actual service, for your ceremonies, for your reception, things like that, what types of tools to use. And taking my own advice, just putting a microphone in front of the front row and pointing it and angling it up, it's a good idea if they're all the action is happening front and center. But what if someone's speaking off of camera, off frame, off center? How are you going to capture that audio? So I really think we need a wireless solution for this project. So for the wedding streaming services, we've switched to a wireless system. This is such a great way to do it. You basically take your receiver, you've got your plug right here, and it just plugs right into the top here, just like so. And then the cool thing about this was, you plug this end into the camera, but the cool thing about this is, originally I was like, well, how do you attach this? There's no hot shoe mount, right? So like, I don't have one here, but a hot shoe mount is basically the adapter or the mount that's on top of most cameras, most DSLRs, where it's got the two basically the 2 little arms, and you slide in something underneath, and it kind of, you can wheel it down so that it cinches down. Well, there isn't anything on here, and you don't have like the screw hole or anything like that, like this. Like you could screw this down on top of a camera and things like that, but it doesn't have that. All you've got is this clip, which is great for clipping it to belt buckles or clipping it to back of a dress or whatever. But the receiver's got the same thing, but Comica did a fantastic job designing this clip, because the clip is actually the exact same size as that shoe mount on your camera. So all you do is just open it up and just slide it in and close it, and then this is mounted on your camera. Then you plug this into your microphone jack, and you're all set up for your receiver. And then on the other hand, you've got your transmitter. You've got basically an onboard microphone, and a mic, a mic jack. You plug your microphone in or whatever, and you're off to the races. I don't really want to touch too much on quality right now as far as like the audio files and the connectivity and all that stuff, because I haven't had a chance to really dive into that portion of it. But like the functionality, the setup, the usability is just phenomenal. And if the result, the audio result is even half of this Tascam, this is a phenomenal product. Now, hypothetically, if that's true, if the audio quality of this is half of this, I'm still going to recommend the Tascam whenever possible, and this is all hypothetical. But the ability to have a wireless solution at that quality is just great. That's something I'm looking for. So I'm kind of interested, and I'll let you guys know when I get a couple more weddings under my belt, and maybe I'll drop in a few kind of pieces of information here in the vlog. But overall, just this setup really impressed me. So I'm excited to get using it again. This isn't kind of like one of those one and done things where you buy something and take it to a wedding and use it. You're like, oh, I'm never gonna use this ever again. There's just too much setup. It's just too much work for the end result. The payoff isn't good enough. So overall, the wedding went great. The day went great. I'm really excited to kind of get in and dive into the actual footage itself. We had a 3-camera setup, which is fantastic, just because you can get multiple angles at that ceremony. One constantly shooting at the groom, one constantly shooting at the bride, and then I'm walking around with the GH5, kind of just capturing everything handheld that I possibly can. You know, those close detail shots, the kiss, the rings, you know, the officiant speaking, you know, things like that, the more intimate, you know, individuals, and then like obviously the 2 cameras facing their respective persons, you know, capturing, you know, when they're speaking and when they're listening, and, you know, their reactions and stuff like that. So overall, I'm really excited to get this one put together. I've got a couple other weddings that I'm working on right now. In fact, I just finished one this evening, so kind of makes you feel good when you actually can complete a project and, you know, push forward. So kind of gets my creativity going, right? That's why I'm here recording this vlog, talking about how this wedding went and things like that. So you finish a project and you get this creative, I don't know about you, but I get this like creative, like kind of itch just to jump right into the next project. And like I said, I've got a backlog of a couple weddings, so we're going to kind of hammer through those as quickly as possible. Try and bring the vlog back and kind of get some semblance of a schedule back for the actual YouTube channel. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So like I said, I've got a backlog of actual weddings to edit, and you know, this past couple months I've been trying a few different things to keep myself on schedule, hold myself accountable, and just kind of be more productive. And I've got a video coming out later on this month where I will dive into each of those individual ideas and kind of talk with you guys about what worked, what didn't work, what I kind of found some success in, kind of like a middle ground. And you know, your mileage may vary because your situation might be different or whatever the case may be, but I figured sharing that experience with you guys to help you understand how I overcame my backlog might help you out in the long run. Alright guys, so that was the vlog. This was fun. This was really fun. Let's do it again sometime. Have a great night.